Welcome to today's training webinar. I'm Danielle Rapolo, Regional Performance Consultant, and I'll be hosting today's training that is based on your day-to-day tasks and also to help you unveil what it is exactly that could be preventing you from the growth of your location, the growth of your business in your Planet Beach. Because it's most likely the fact that you're focusing day to day on different task items that are all the wrong things. So here is your guide to your Planet Beach priorities for you to be able to sit back, reassess yourselves and your day-to-day tasks, and see exactly what it is you need to make changes to in order to go from just an operating Planet Beach to a growing Planet Beach and eventual top 10 spa. So let's get started. First and foremost, ask yourselves these few questions. Where are you at right now? Are you in the spa or are you in the office in the back? Maybe you're at home, maybe you're off today, just specifically to take this webinar. But right now, this very moment, what are you most worried about? Are you making sure that you can check in your members coming in for their service appointments over the next hour while being able to attend this training? Maybe you're making sure that you have a load of towels dry before the busy rush comes in later on. So you might be putting the phone down and stepping away from your computer at this time just to be able to monitor that and be sure that you're on top of your game. Are you making sure that you don't get distracted from this call specifically enough to where you won't have to worry about beds not being ready and prepared for your current appointments that are set to come in and use those services? Perhaps you have this minimized and you're pulled up on the website placing a product order that you were behind on doing from yesterday because you just got too distracted. Or maybe you have Amazon pulled up because you're looking to redecorate your lobby because you're ready for some change. Or maybe you're just looking to see what your new school schedule is going to be like next semester. Items maybe you need to run the spa. You're writing a list together and you have this pulled up on your computer and you're listening in on speakerphone, but you're not really and truly 100% focused on hearing anything that I'm really saying right now. Maybe somebody texted you this morning and said they can't come in later today and you're just trying to worry about covering the shift. Now, before we go in to correcting all of those things and talking about what we should be worried about, let's go through a list of different items, and I want you to really take a look at some of these things that you're going to see on your screen and answer the question at hand of if you believe if it's operations or if it's a growth-related task. This is the moment where we reveal if we know for sure every single day that the things that we're doing day by day is important or not as it pertains to growth or operations. So, are you just operating or are you dedicating your hours in the spa that you have right now to growing the store? Are you completing tasks or are you creating opportunities for not just yourself, but for your entire team as well? Are you doing bare minimum? Are you just checking off those checklists of things to do that are growth related? Or are you going that extra step to really see and use research and developmental skills to find out what the most effective way to do these task items would be that would in turn result in you growing, meaning higher sales, duplicating and tripling your efforts? Are you taking orders or are you making sales? The bottom line is, if you're not building your business every opportunity that you have, you're just maintaining your status quo. And you're maintaining a place for your current members who are giving you recurring dues. You're maintaining a great place for them to go, which is amazing. But you're doing nothing to make sure that you continue to have that place there for them next year. So let's list the top 6 distractions from growth. Busy work, lack of planning, playing catch up, lack of commitment, workload too large and not enough people to help you, and problems versus solutions. We're going to dig in a little bit further on each one of these topics, but these are the top 6 distractions from growth. These are not all of them, just the main ones that you're currently going through right now and you're currently having right now in your stores. If you find that you fit in this number from any of the questions that we so far asked in this webinar training. Before we go into each and every one of those top 6 distractions, I have a question for you, and I want you to write down what you think the answer is on a sheet of paper. This is a true or false question. You should not sell to your customers and members every time or every day that they come in to your spa. I know what you might be thinking because you've taken trainings before, and your natural go-to would be false. But shockingly enough, the answer to this question is true. You should never sell to your customers and members every single day and every time they come in to use services. Why? Because I want you to take a gander. Take a look at your name badge or your job description or compensation guide or code of conduct, any type of documentation that shows proof of your employment for Planet Beach. What does that say, and what does it read out that your position with Planet Beach is? Does it say spa sales associate? Nope. You're not a sales associate whatsoever, but you are a spa consultant. Even if you're a franchisee or a spa director, you are still expected to be a consultant and consult every single customer and member who comes into your doors. The reason we are spa consultants is simple. We don't sell. The words sell, sales, and selling, those are all internal words that we use, and that's fine if you use them in meetings and you talk amongst each other and you talk about what you've sold and how you can sell something and what your sales are at, or upselling or upgrading. That's fine if you feel like that's going to not deter your consultants into really understanding their true position in the spa. If you think like a salesman, you'll 100% be a salesman and get salesman results, which means think to somebody you know who is actually in sales, an actual salesperson in a role where they have sales somewhere in their title. Ask them what their objections are to their role, just out of curiosity, and find out from them what those main objections are. You'll find that they're very similar to your current objections from your customers and members because that's what they see you as. They don't see you as someone, however, being someone with their best interest at hand. They don't see you as somebody to go to and ask, what am I doing? What should I be doing? How can I be doing something better or differently to better see results? Because I've reached a plateau in my color, or I've stopped losing those inches that I started with beforehand when I first signed up for my membership. Which products am I not using correctly? And is there anything else that I should be getting to use in this service? Chances are 90% of you on this webinar right now are saying, nobody ever comes to me and says that. Only once in a blue moon do we have members that do so. But those members, I really want you to ask yourself, how long have they been members with you? The chances are they've been one of those lifelong and dedicated members, and they have relationships with you. That's why they do go to you with those questions. But most likely, those people you signed up 3 and 4 months ago that just requested to cancel this past week have never come to you with that. You've never really known where they came from, who signed them up, do they even come in often, do I need to always check this person's service and retail history, or do I know it by now because I made it a priority to build a relationship with this specific member? Chances are no. I don't know this specific member. I don't know what their goals are. I don't even have an area of interest listed in their customer profile to even see what they came in on in the first place, to know exactly how to build a relationship and say, you know what? I don't know how you've been doing with seeing your results and using our Hotbox Detox, but I'm noticing here that you never got set up with our PB Heat along with our core compressor, but you do have a towel and you do have your mat. So that's awesome that you do have your own there and you don't rent yours. You have your very own to use because that's something you can use at home if you can't make it in. But you know, I'm not sure if you go to the gym otherwise or follow a diet plan, but this is going to expedite your results so much quicker. And I'm not sure if anybody's ever talked to you about this, but I do see here that there's a note saying you're going on vacation in a month. I want to help you get there faster because, I mean, after all, that's why you joined us, right? I guarantee you that member is going to start looking at you much differently and not see that as a sale, but they'll see that as you taking care of them, trying to hook them up and trying to help them, which is what they joined with you for in the first place. So, All in all, no, you're not to sell to customers and members every day and every time they come in, but growth equals consulting them every time and every day that they come in. So don't sell, but yes, consult. You will not be successful in this career, in this job, in this position that you're in without a customer experience and relationship with your customers and members. Remember this, relationship is better than salesmanship. So yes, you are to consult every single time they come in by just simply listening. You're to pay attention when they talk. You're to listen when they talk. They might be complaining about a boyfriend, a friend, their job, school, day-to-day life stresses, anxiety over something. Maybe they're going through something tough or they're celebrating something positive. It's up to you as the leader, as the spa director, as the franchisee, to train your team on not selling, but listening for opportunities to consult them to a solution. Write that down. Now let's go through what busy work is if you have no idea what you're doing today on your to-do list is actually busy work or not. First of all, don't get caught up in your day-to-day. Look to the horizon instead, not to the clock. Prioritize your checklist items and ask the right questions before you start to work on anything. First and foremost, what do you have to do today when you're done this webinar? When you approach this task, sit back and ask yourself, is this helping my spa grow in any way? What is this doing to contribute to growing my store? How long is this task going to take me away from growth-related tasks? Because like we mentioned, it is important to do some of those different and tedious items that you have to take care of, right? So how long will this take me? And do I have a time management schedule in place to keep me on track to making sure I don't clock out today without making sure I do something related to growth? What are my SMART goals with this task? What the heck is a SMART goal, Danielle? Well, if you've not heard of this before, SMART goal is, of course, another acronym because, we love acronyms here at Planet Beach. But a difference between a SMART goal and a goal is just a dream or a wish because it's not specific, it's not measurable, it's not achievable, realistic, or even time-based. And that's exactly what the SMART acronym stands for. A specific goal, M for measurable, A for achievable and realistic. It's got to be realistic. It's got to be achievable or else nobody will try to reach it. It's just too impossible. And it always, always, always must have a deadline, which is the T for time-based. Here's an example of a SMART goal. I want to be a top spa. My goal by the end of 2016 is to be a top spa. What does that mean? Well, what's going to tie into that to make sure that you hit that goal? Because what you just told me was a wish. You just told me what your dream would be, is to be a top spa by the end of 2016. That's a wonderful idea. That's a great concept, but that's not a goal. So don't call that a goal, but a goal, a true goal, is a SMART goal. It's specific. I want to be a top 10 spa by the end of 2016. That is my goal. In order to do so, I need to break down what I need to make and profit every quarter of 2016, and from there put together monthly goals in order to do so. To be specific, I have to do those specific things that are already tied into a deadline because they're quarterly, monthly, and there is a time that it ends at the end of the year, right? So to be specific and drill down, I need to first see exactly where my weaknesses and strengths are to be able to correct anything and make the possible changes that I need to make in order to hit those goals. And where does it all start with? Staff. I need to make sure I'm providing a customer experience for people to convert them to members, which in turn will get my draft up high enough to where when I run my draft every month, even if I have a low retail and mem cash month, my draft has me as a top store and I'm pretty much defaulted in there. So is my spa reimaged? If it's not, is it always clean? Does it always look good? And do I have a team of people that look like they just rolled out of bed and know how to consult and listen for opportunities to increase my store's sales? Or do I have Do I have those eagles in there? Do I have those eagles, or do I have those turkeys that are just showing up, rolling out of bed, coming straight after cheer practice, or maybe they're coming in after school or after another job, and they have their hair thrown up on the top of their head. Maybe they're wearing sweatpants. Maybe they're wearing flip-flops and Ugg boots. And they're not really looking that part that ties directly into their consultant's skills. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be able to hit those monthly and quarterly goals if when I realize my specifics are not there. I need to have a team of people that will do so. And I need to invest in the education and training because that is the most important investment and the biggest expense that I will make a priority as a franchisee is education, training, and staffing on my business. That's the most expensive a piece of equipment that you own, even more so than your most expensive actual piece of equipment inside your physical spa. Are the goals that I'm setting for my team attainable and realistic? I don't want to discourage them, and I by all means want to make sure they're motivated at all times and incentivized by all aspects of everything I'm doing as a franchisee and as the leader. Maybe I'm a spa director. I need to make sure my team feels like I'm leading them, not just managing them and barking orders at them and only pointing out the negative and never helping them uncover their strengths by showing them how amazing they are and the little wins that they have every day when they do something positive. By setting them up with impossible goals, they'll never even try to work for you in the first place, no matter how great your leadership skills are and how happy of an environment you provide for them for a happy workplace being a profitable workplace. If you set your revenue goals too high, they're going to look at that and say, this is impossible to meet. There's no possible way that I could ever sell this, so I won't even try when I come in to hit a goal. Whereas if you keep it attainable and realistic based on what is possible, by doing so in increments, and building up each month a goal for you to hit 2016's major goal, well, that's a little bit different of a story. If I see it's attainable and realistic, I will find somewhere inside me to push myself on those days where I'm like, oh gosh, that's only $30 away from hitting today's goal and it's 7 o'clock. We close at 9. I'm going to start posting on my personal Facebook page because I want to be the person that gets the kudos in the next meeting or tomorrow or in the nightly recap email for being the person that drove in and helped us close out the day strong. I want to get that little $5 Starbucks card at the next meeting. I want to get that little shout out. So I'm going to be more inclined to performing for you. Lastly, do I have all the tools in place to measure my progress to the goal? Do I use all of the tools that are provided in Orion to track every employee that I have's performance? Am I staying on top to make sure that I see everybody in there is not only covering their cost, but are they really and truly delivering and exceeding those goals and bringing in more than just what it costs to have them employed that day for that shift? All these things are what I'm going to list out as my game plan, as my strategy, and part of what I'm going to do in order to hit that goal that I just mentioned as my main goal for 2016, to be a top spa. That's the difference between a SMART goal, which is an actual goal, or just a wish. Lastly, and most importantly, can this be done by somebody else on my team? 9 times out of 10, folks, the things that you're looking at right now on your to-dos today absolutely can be done by somebody else on your team. Delegate, prioritize. If you have not yet put together a game plan, for example, for your Mother's Day marketing, which is coming up, May 8th is Mother's Day. As we sit here and we approach that, we know as consumers, we need to start thinking about our mothers, our stepmothers, our mothers-in-law, our godmothers, our kids' godmothers, our kids' grandparents, and their step grandparents, and so on and so forth. We're sitting here thinking about that for ourselves, right? So your consumers are doing the same thing in your area. If you're in your store right now and you have somebody coming in the next few hours that's set to be overlapping for an hour or two with you on a shift, task them with the list of items to go on the website and place your product order with. Task them to shine the floors. Task them to send out the emails to those collections people, because now that you've made all of your call outreach attempts, it's time to send the emails before the letters. Do all of those things and pass that on to them. If it is not related to putting a game plan together on what businesses you're going to go ahead and approach about bringing these Mother's Day gift certificates to, or how you're going to sell your 3 services for $30 to the consumers and getting the 2 for one, the price of one, with getting a bundle and give somebody like a mom and a mother-in-law versus just one gift for one specific person. Knock it out here at Planet Beach. What's my game plan? What's going to be my email template I send out? I need to work on this because I can't just send out any old thing. You need to send something out effective, because if you're blasting out any type of marketing, if you're trying to excite your consumers, maybe you're sending out to members, or maybe you're sending out to your entire database, whatever that might be, if it's not effective every single time and you don't put 100% focus into making that the best dang email blast that you've ever made every single time you put one together, they're going to unsubscribe. And in the future, when you do finally wake up and realize that is something you need to spend more of your time focusing on being 100% perfect in, by the time you do that and you send it out, that person had already unsubscribed, so they're not going to see it and come back in from it or buy from it or fill out the form in it. So consider that snowball effect and tie this all back into, is this task item that I have to do after this webinar training, is that related to growth? If it's not, is it something I can task Ashley with doing when she comes in a couple of hours? Because it's probably not a do or die scenario, and you don't want to waste 1 second in that store that you have towards doing something you absolutely don't 100% need to do. Your failure to plan, tying in exactly to what we just mentioned. I just don't have the time. It's too hard to get everybody together for a meeting. That's why I don't have meetings. We always just discuss what's going on. We communicate all the time when we overlap shifts, when we text each other. We'll send the dashboard. That's good enough. We talk all the time. My team won't prospect. Maybe that's what it is. You can't plan because you don't have a team that would do anything that you put together. And it's way too hard to find good people. My priorities are this, and this right now. Yes, it'd be nice to go ahead and take time out to post jobs or do interviews, but I'm getting by with this much, so I have no other choice. I have to focus on these other items or I'm going to drown. We can only do our schedule 1 week at a time. I can't plug in my monthly schedule into Spot Intel just because it's too hard to get everybody to commit to a schedule a month in advance. No, promotions are too hard to schedule and they won't work anyways. It's impossible to find a good staff that'll do any of the things that I try to plan for, Danielle, so what's the point? Everything we just listed here is only scratching the surface, folks. This is not everything that you do currently and say currently where it's a failure to plan. I want you to ask yourself, when was the last time you actually had a mandatory staff meeting together? And what did you discuss in that staff meeting? Just know that most of you need to pay your team to be there for a meeting. So it's an expense all the time when it comes to education and training and communications platforms. So don't waste your time with that hour to 2 hours that you have to pay everyone to come together and get the herd together and round up all your chickens and get them all in one room. Don't waste your time talking about things that could be discussed in your own secret Facebook group you created for staff members, or an email, or a group text message you can send out. Don't spend time planning a meeting to talk about a marketing campaign. Spend part of it talking about ideas on how to market a specific campaign that'll drive in sales, but use the monthly meeting accountability agendas to help you as a guide in staying on track. You hear it so much, but you don't do it. No, meetings are just too hard. But here's something that will probably pose as a shock to all of you. Those meetings are not just to say you're having meetings. It's all too often and all too disappointing when I hear that you guys are not doing your monthly end of the month review and upcoming month game plan meeting. That's not happening for the most part, for many of you. And it's definitely not happening before the end of the first week of each month when it's supposed to take place. Almost all of you are not having your mid-month assessment meetings that you know well about, but you disagree with the concept, therefore you don't implement. Yet when you look at your dashboard and see that you're failing to hit your goals and exceed your goals, You don't seem to drill down deeper and figure out maybe I could just make these changes just for the trial and error purposes to say I tried it, to see if that might be the problem. Which I can tell you from my 14 years of experience of doing that same exact thing until I actually made the changes necessary, that is 100% no doubt the problem. What's a meeting going to do that I can't just communicate whenever this person comes in later? The concept of these meetings, folks, is not just to communicate and have a platform to make it easier for you to communicate. I don't care if they're all there together. I can communicate these things to them and tell these things to them when they come in one individually. I don't mind doing that. Those meetings are not for you. So get it out of your head that your monthly meetings and that your mid-month meetings and that your weekly meetings have anything at all to do with you. Yes, it's your business. Yes, it's your team and you are the manager of that business. But those meetings are non-negotiable, and by your failing to do that, you are failing your own consultants and setting them up and yourselves to fail. So first and foremost, yes, you have to have meetings. If you do not have your monthly meetings, mandatory. If you do not stop and do it again halfway through the month, and if you don't weekly have some way to all come together, whether it's in person or FaceTime or Skype or group hangout, Google Hangout, whatever the case might be, conference call them in. If you're not doing this, you are setting your own team up to fail. And then you get those text messages saying, I quit. You get those text messages saying, I can't come in. And they don't really care because they only get paid $9 an hour. They don't care about you or that job enough to stress about showing up for work that day when they have better things going on. So now we drill down to why it's important that you wake up and realize it does not matter what you think about these meetings. They have to take place because the number one reason that those meetings are supposed to be happening are not for your benefit or the spa's. It is for your consultants to be remotivated, to provide a platform for your consultants to brainstorm, pick each other's brains, lay out all of their objections that they hit on everything. It's for you to overcome employee objections to why they're not performing in their positions. If I have my team together in one place, it's not a situation that we're telling you to do and set yourselves up for just to convenience you to being able to communicate and reach out to them on one specific platform. Stop making it about you. And start realizing that that's the place where Jenny can say, how am I supposed to prospect when I'm here by myself and I work in the evening, so I'm the one that gets stuck with the after hours rush. And she's sitting there providing an objection that, oh, look at this, Brandy, who is our top consultant, who makes the most red appointments and works 2 to 3 nights a week of her 5 days that she's worked on a shift, she takes 2 of those nights. Where Jenny, who was just complaining about being all nights and never works during days and says it's just not fair, Brandy could then step in and say, you know what, Jenny, I know exactly what you're talking about, but you know what I found? I found that whenever I stopped doing this and this and this when I was in there at night and I started seeing opportunities with catching, those regulars that come in at night and start, hey, did you ever find anybody that maybe wants to come in and use a week of spa because I want to get you a step closer to being able to have us pay for your dues? Say it like that to them, catch them like that, and I guarantee you're going to have way more red appointments on the books for tomorrow when you come in. And then Jenny's going to see if she can do it, so can she. So she now then does not have a leg to stand on with an excuse. And they're sharing things at work, and guess what? It's not coming down from you. It's all too often they're not performing for you because you're barking orders or you're always coming down or pointing out the negatives instead of pointing out the positives and the things that they do that they can polish up on and use to grow stronger in their weaker areas. Reward and recognize them. Tell them and share to them what others are doing. And sometimes, guys, get out. Remove yourselves from those meetings. For crying out loud, let them brainstorm with each other. Let them come up with the marketing ideas. Don't always be the one to delegate to them what they have to be doing and what they're failing at doing right now. That's demotivating, and you're providing a crappy workplace. Pardon my French, but that's what you're doing by doing that all the time. So move yourself from the conversation. Let them have at it. Or drop a bug in their ear. All right, guys, where do you think? I'm taking suggestions. Whoever comes up with the suggestion that pays off the most gets a paid day off next week or the week after that for the next payroll. Paid day off. You still get paid, but it's on us. You won't get commissions, obviously, from the shift that you would be working, but whoever comes up with the groundbreaking idea gets that paid day off. Guarantee you just sit back, walk out of the room, and let them brainstorm for 20 minutes and coming up with a plan on how they're going to best utilize those marketing materials you just went and spent money on printing up for Mother's Day. You'll come back and you'll see an entirely new set of consultants that are not only driven and motivated, but they're all going to want to just get that paid day off. And worst case scenario, they're millennials, folks. They just want to be recognized. Sometimes they just want to have that moment where everybody kind of goes, oh my gosh, you did it. You did it for us. Thank you so much. Congratulations. They want to have that moment. And so these meetings are solely based around talking about where we failed at the month before, how we can improve on this upcoming month, and let them decide on that. You can jump in and provide solutions, ideas. You could jump in and say, or we could take that a step further. That's a great idea, Amy. We could take it a step further. Instead of just going and providing these items to that local festival, like backpacks for those obstacle course races that have our logo on it, why don't we take it a step further? Go bring these $50 gift certificates over there to them and let them keep the funds. And in return, let's set up a booth at that festival where we can bring something where people have to enter their names and numbers in to win some type of drawing or grand prize from having that booth that the school let us have, because we let them keep the funds that they raised by selling our spa certificates, right? Let's take it a step further. Show them how to think bigger. Show them how to duplicate, triple their success from their original plan that might be this small, that they could just find different opportunities to make it even bigger and exercise that part in their brain that they have inside of them that you're helping them realize that can grow. Understand that promotions are not to be considered events and expos in your area. That's not a promotion. Work smarter, not harder. Promotions can be had anywhere. Your consultants have friends that have jobs in other places. Take advantage of their personal network of people and say, so where do you think you can go for a promotion? All a promotion is somewhere where you set up shop and have people enter to win memberships or enter to win a product bundle or a vacation or a bundle you put together that your B2Bs gave you items for to build value to it, a cash prize drawing. Where could you go where you can put some Planet Beach cards, gas passes, maybe you can have like a little table set up with balloons. Where can you go where you have friends, right? Don't you know people where you can go in there a couple of hours? I'll let you give her a month for free to use here, her and her boss, if they let you set up. Why don't you really think about that? And you know what? If you manage to get 5 instead of 4 booked this month, I'll give you ... That is how you do it. That is how you get your team to pull off promotions. It is not as hard as you imagine, and there is always time to develop your team. If you are not always training, if you are not always finding moments in the things that they are currently doing to not only reward and recognize, as well as point out where they missed opportunities, if you're not taking that to allow them to exercise that part in their brain of critical thinking skills and trying to get them to see, think bigger, think bigger. What could you have done that could have been even more so tacked on as commission for you? How do you feel you just did? What do you think you missed out on? Let them train themselves so that way you are providing a place they want to come back to and grow in. You never know what their goals are personally to grow up and be. They may want to be business owners and they'll thank you one day for showing them, not telling them, showing them their potential, showing them how to be great and showing them how to be successful. You're not telling them what they're doing wrong every 5 seconds to where they're telling you it's just not worth it. Let's fact find now, folks. Do you plan your day out hour by hour, or do you just wing it? That is the difference. That is the difference between a top spa that grows constantly or someone just opening up, turning on the services, opening the register, turning on the lights, putting the towels up, standing there, mopping the floor, dusting the tops of the doors, answering the phones, setting services. That is winging it. That is showing up to let the spa run you. You are not showing up to run a spa. You're allowing the day to control you. You do not show up saying, I'm going to own this day. So plan it out hour by hour. Your consultant should know what exactly they are responsible to that daily goal. Before they clock out, they must know and they must fear if they do not hit their goal and contribute to that day's goal hitting. They should feel awful, terrible if we didn't hit that goal because of that person not hitting their goal, because the consultant behind me came in and actually sold more than what her actual goal was set to be to contribute to today's goal. That consultant that did not, that slacked, should feel terrible about that. And it's up to you to make them feel that type of remorse instead of, oh, well, what do you want me to do about it? Sometimes you just can't control it. Absolutely, you can control it. Do not ever let those words be uttered into your spa. And if you are a franchisee or a spa director saying those things in front of your team, shame on you, because then that is you instilling that in their head that it is okay to not hit or exceed the goal. Do you start collections on the first, or do you wait till the next day? Because the first, you just got way too many things going on. I didn't even plug my goals into Spa Intel. I'm going to get fussed at by Danielle if she logs in and sees I didn't do it. So let me do that right now. I ran the draft already. I'll call them later. Look, you know what? I didn't even put together the work schedule. I have it in my notes. I have it written down on this Post-it. Where did I put that Post-it? Man, it's in my binder. I should have plugged this in last week. Why didn't I do this last week? Oh, that's right. That's because I decided to take apart the hydration station at 10 a.m. in that slow work hour. I decided to do that because that was so important at the time instead of waiting until that following weekend to just do it and have my boyfriend come in and help me do it after hours. That was important at that time, right? No. All these things are why you can't do what you're supposed to do because you're playing catch up. You're doing what you're doing right now because it's all based on the fact that you were not able to get things done beforehand. Collections, how does that help you with growth? Because nobody is sticking to the schedule that we give to you every Monday motivation call. Do not allow yourself to focus every day on collections after the 8th or 9th of every month. When the first hits and you run that draft, you immediately get on those phones and you immediately follow up with a text or email. You go through call 1, call 2, call 3, call 4 consecutively, day 1, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th of the month. After call 4, you do your email. After your emails are sent out to the people that are non-responsive, you send your certified letter. By the 8th or 9th of every single month, you only put your time into 1 hour a week, one day, 1 hour a week for the rest of that month, because that is not contributing to the growth of your spa. That is something that is retention, and that is something you can possibly task to somebody else on your team with incentives to, if they hit a specific goal on collections. That's something that you, as the person in charge of growing that store, which is all things growth, what are those things? Setting goals, holding people accountable, setting up trainings, listening to training calls, planning and having and hosting meetings, allowing to develop your team, allowing your team to develop themselves, training at every given moment, staying on top of hour by hour sales. Those are all growth related. Where's my next B2B going to get set up? Am I staying on track to doing one B2B a week? Am I having spa parties? Am I planning for that? If you are still doing collections because you know what, right now that might not be priority. In your mind, you might think you need to do something growth related after you run that draft, when in actuality, that's false. Knock out your call ones to everybody because that'll take a solid 30 minutes, most likely during the day. When you call someone and leave a voicemail, they'll get a voicemail because they're at work or school. That's why we say follow up with an email or a text. And likely, if you can do that and gift that to somebody else to do as a task item, then yeah, you can worry about the growth-related items in your spa should you think that that's not priority. You're right, and you're on the right track. You're just a little bit confused as to what exactly you can do to make sure you're managing everything appropriately. Is your whole team trying to save cancellations, or are they just saying okay and printing up the cancellation request form or saying call back when my manager's there? Your entire team, here's the number one most common misconception on collections and cancellations and freezing and transferring. Your team, you're one of those people that go, if I want something done right, I got to do it myself. With that being said, you are controlling too much of the outcome of that spa, and there's too much on your plate, and you're putting, instead of 50% focus and retention and 50% focus into growth, you're spreading yourself out too thin and putting yourself everywhere which you might be causing yourself to give 20% of this, 20% of retention, 20% of customer experience, worried related stuff, 20% of growth, 20% of this. And what happens when you give 20% of everything? Things become a task list item. Things then become less effective because your focus to the task at hand that could be growth related could be, quote unquote, and pardon my French, half-assed. You're going to do that, then you're going to lose consumer interest. You're going to lose opportunities to reach consumers because they're going to unsubscribe to your emails. They're going to they're going to reply stop to your text message blast because you're putting something blah, blah, boring and clearly a sales tactic. You're not putting your entire 100% effort and focus and priority into making sure what you're putting out there and what you're sending out there will help you grow because you're way too worried about doing something that your consultant could have stopped in the first place. So you have a whole slew of people that have request to cancels that you're trying to attempt to reach out to transfer or freeze, right? Because you want to remind them because it's a great opportunity. Who wouldn't? That's something you can have your whole team work on for you. When they get a request to cancel from a member, okay, sure, that's no problem. No pushback. That's no problem. Although unfortunately my spa director needs to be here in order to process that request in full, I can tell you, I just want to remind you, you realize that, a lot of people usually forget that they can do this. You always come back. You're going to come back. Why don't we go ahead and go through a couple of different opportunities for you? We do have the freeze option, That's where you can always come back and you don't have to pay full price. Then go into, you still have that one-time transfer. Give this to a friend. That price is nearly doubled. Give it to somebody who would appreciate this great and awesome price point. I'll tell you one thing. If you don't find somebody, I think I can. You're with them here. You don't have to stick with me for 60 days. Find someone to take it over tomorrow and you're done with us. Your consultants should be doing this. That is not just for you to do. So start making the changes there. Do you actively engage your members to increase retention and referrals or just send them straight to their bed, straight to their service? If you're not talking about how you can pay for their membership, getting them excited and getting their with them going, if you're not making it a fun game, if you're not going, hey, look, I want to hook you up. I don't want to just look to solicit your friends and try to sell them something. If you don't do that, you're not growing. If you refuse to do that because you have your own reservations to it, you don't belong in a franchise. Because it's a non-negotiable for you to do these things every single day. By not doing them because at one point you may have had a team that did not deliver for you, didn't do it appropriately or accurately, and failed at that task, but you might have some new team members or a whole new team now. What are you waiting for? How often do you and your team check the percentage to goals? When you send that dashboard, are you looking to see your percent to goal to even see, oh my gosh, this is actually attainable and I could hit this? Let's come together. Random meeting this Friday after hours. Everybody be here. I have something exciting to tell you guys. And put together an incentive and a contest and get them to push. You're not doing that, you're not growing. Are you top grading your staff or just covering shifts? I'm going to stop here for a second because I want to take a minute to go through this entire topic. There was once a time where our spa performance department was not allowed to continue a step 2, a step 3, a step 4 call until a franchisee had a complete staff in place. And by complete staff, that didn't just mean, oh, I got to make sure I have a whole org chart, a spa director, a ASD, and spa consultants. That's not what we mean by complete. By complete, we mean everybody there is pulling their weight. Everybody there is covering their cost. Everybody there is constantly being trained and developed and motivated and led and held accountable at the same time whenever all the leadership and development and training fails and your consultant fails to deliver. Is there a disciplinary action plan approach happening, or are you providing an attitude and helping and promoting an attitude that not hitting a goal today, that's okay, we'll get them next time. That is not okay. That is a complete staff. Every single week, when you feel like you have a team of eagles, are you still hosting those interviews? Are you still looking for new people? Are you still posting jobs? Are you still holding interviews in your spa in front of them to allow them to see you're just following a franchise? What a franchise model is I'm required to do this every single week. They don't have to know you actually are showing interest in finding somebody potentially better, which is what top grading means. You're potentially trying to find someone better. There's always somebody better. You're looking for someone to replace your best. That way you always have a team of eagles on your side that don't come to you for every little problem. If you find that it's a busy work item to be hosting interviews and constantly looking for staff over ordering products, swiffering your floors, and servicing members that could be potentially serviced at the same time that you do all of these other things, then there lies your problem. Your problem lies with the foundation of your success, and get back to the basics, folks. Back to the basics is all the red ratio retention, membership sales training videos you took on PBU, all the marketing training you got from your consultant, the webinars you've sat through on how to grow your spa and get reds and get ratio and close higher and retain members. Forget about it all. Forget it. Stop now, lock your doors, and throw your hands up and leave it behind. Because unless you stop putting yourself in a too much of an advanced place before getting your foundation strong first, none of that will be successful. You will fail and you will be demotivated. You will always be stressed out. That's going to trickle down from your attitude down to your team, who will then in turn be same way, stressed out, hate the place that they work, don't get paid enough, don't show up, don't tell you anything about it until you find out from a member who happens to be a friend of yours texting you, I'm standing outside of your spot. This is when all of this happens, folks. So busy work, what you think is busy work right now is, I have a team of OK consultants. I'm not going to spend time putting together a job advertisement and look for a place to post it. I'm not going to spend money to try to find people. I'm not going to hire. I'm not going to interview. I don't have time for that. You know what? If I did, that'd be great, but I can't. No, stop. Stop now. Because at this day and age, we have evolved into a franchising corporation that will provide training platforms for you at any moment. That's just what we do. We wouldn't feel right not doing it, right? We'll always have a place for you to go and learn something. You always are confident in knowing you could just text your consultant. Most of the time, if they're not busy, they'll text you back. They'll help you at all times. But just know, there was once a time where if you didn't see that as priority and you thought what you're doing now was actually more priority than staffing, then constantly investing into your team and educating them, footing a bill for a plane ticket to New Orleans to send them to school, going to convention, opening up your wallet for that instead of opening up your wallet for a new dang pillow set for your couch. You have bigger problems to worry about than simply, I'm losing staff members. Your problem is bigger. Your problem lies in, you're going to lose a business. And if you're a spa director and you're not the franchisee, and this isn't talking to you, a way I can talk to you is, you're going to cause somebody who invested a lot of money into that business to lose all of that. You're not going to make the money that you can potentially be making. You're accepting a base pay salary, and you sold a few memberships last week, so now you feel confident and you feel like you have the grounds to approach and demand a raise. When in actuality, sweetheart, you have a lot of catching up to do from all of the months beforehand that you failed to hit your goals, and you got catch up to play first before you can ever come to me and ask for a raise. So wake up, folks. You need to continue to educate yourselves, spend the money and the time and the investment in your team, because that is the foundation. If you build a house and you put down weak foundation and you just put gravel rocks instead of concrete, what's going to happen to the structure, the framing, the paint, the furniture that the structure holds? It's going to sink, it's going to fall, it's going to cave because it's not on a strong foundation and you just poured rocks down to save money. That is similar to what you're doing now, and it is insane. And I'll go to the definition of insanity, because each and every one of you that are taking this webinar, just know and write this down, you are all insane. I'm insane. We're all insane, not just you. Because why? There is some aspect of our personal or professional lives that are in fact insanity. And what insanity means is doing and performing and saying the same thing over and over again, but expecting different results each time that you do, say, or perform those things. So what does that mean? If every day you still want to hang up from this call, from this webinar, and say, nah, that's not a priority, I'm still not going to do that, I'm still going to do what I need to do, and then the bank calls, you're late on a payment, and you're behind, and you're threat to close. You might be failing, or maybe you're heading in that direction. And you look back to all of the things and say, I did everything I was told to do. I was supposed to do this, and I did it. What are you talking about? I've been using this stupid daily marketing checklist. It doesn't work. I did what you told me to do. I posted that ad on this site, but it doesn't work. But did you focus on it? Did you make it a priority? Were you 100% dedicated to making sure that when you did those items on that checklist, when you posted that job ad, did you post it everywhere else too? Or did you just post it one time to say you did it because you were going through a checklist item? Because your priority at that moment was to place a product order that could have waited until 20 minutes after you did this task to do so. Are you holding the meetings? Or are you saying, nah, I don't need to do that. That just seems like a lot of time and I just don't have that luxury. Are you going to convention? No, it's a waste of money. It's a cost that I can't endure right now. I can't afford to do that. But what's happening whenever you're putting all the new equipment in your store right now that you got from somebody on Craigslist? You're spending money on all the wrong things. You're not spending money on finding out what you need to do in order to put a spa director in place that has to worry about a team. Did you even know that you're not supposed to be worrying yourself and spending time staffing a team of people, franchisees? That's not your responsibility. You're only required and you are only supposed to focus on finding one person. And that one person is the person who is accountable and who is held accountable and responsible for finding the rest of those people. So the stress that you've encountered over the last however many weeks and months on finding a team of people while trying to do your job of growing your spa and retaining your existing spa, guess what? Because you didn't go to a training, you didn't go to a convention, you didn't go to a specific or attend a specific webinar and pay attention and actually implement things, you didn't know that. And you burnt yourself out. And you've gotten demotivated, and you've been negative, and it's been passed down to your team of people who keeps quitting you. And that, my friend, is a snowball effect of why we say, just do it. Just do what you're taught. Just foot the bill. Just do the trainings. Don't put the phone down to go and get the towels that can wait the next 10 minutes while the rest of this webinar training is happening. This is your priority. This wake-up call. This exact moment in your career and in your life is what needs to be priority. The only excuse for you having to put the phone down or not look at this screen and not pay attention to what I'm saying right now should only be if there is a customer service or experience issue at stake. That's the only time it's okay to not pay attention, because this, my friend, this is the priority. This is what you need to be worried about. The rest are all the wrong things. So let's tie that into a problem versus a solution. First and foremost, train your team on problem solving and critical thinking skills like we just mentioned in those meetings that you, for some reason, are refusing to have. The platforms where people come to you with objections, you need to start uncovering their own creative thinking skills, right? We just mentioned exercise that part of their brain for them, show them how to come up with ideas and even go bigger from their original idea. Show them how to be successful. Don't just tell them what they need to do to be successful. So we just talked about that. Do the same when it comes to their objections. Have them say, you know what? I'm unable to make sales whenever the weather is bad, but you know what? Here's a list of different ideas I came up with in order to alleviate this from ever happening again to us. If they're not trained and developed to come to you with a problem immediately following up with a solution, then you're failing them. Don't just train them on Planet Beach processes, procedures, watch PBU, watch these training videos. This is what you're supposed to do. You greet people this way. You answer a phone this way. This is how you clean a bed. That to you is training, right? Well, no, don't do that. You're failing them if you're doing that, and you're going to constantly get the consultants that say, I don't make enough to unclog a toilet. That's you setting yourself up for failure that way. But on the flip side, train them on problem solving and critical thinking skills. I don't know. I didn't hit my goal because it was just dead tonight. You want me to sell to people, but nobody's coming in. Well, why do you think nobody's coming in, Ashley? What do you think the problem is? Why do you think nobody's coming in? Well, because it's cold outside. Nobody wants to leave their house. Yeah, well, why would they? How do they know what's going on over here to say, wow, that's worth me getting up off my couch? What do you think we're doing on our end? What did you do last night to help out in trying to make sure that didn't happen? If you failed and tried, that's one thing. But if you failed and didn't even try to do anything as far as you can make sales over the phone, get them to uncover it. Don't Have them have to hear you say what they did wrong and tell them what they can do better next time. Have them say, well, I guess I could have did this. Or maybe I guess I could have done that perfect. Well, you know what? Tomorrow's shift, let's move forward. We'll tack on what you didn't hit tonight onto your goals for tomorrow. So they will be doubled because we will need to play catch up. Many of you are not doing this, and that is why you are failing to hit your goal at the end of the month. But teach them how to multitask based around priorities if you're the only person staffed. We talk about opportunities to get growth opportunities, and we're talking about how it's nearly impossible when we're the only one working. But let's get a scenario of a phone ringing, a person standing in front of your product shelves, and a member coming in to use a service. All at the same time, what would you do? Your natural reaction would be to ignore the person standing by the shelves because you want to accommodate your member to avoid customer service issue by nature, and the phone's ringing. And we always know it's a no-no if we let the phone ring past the third ring. So that's currently what you're doing. Most of you are probably nodding your head saying that. However, the member understands when you greet them with swell with one L, because you should have already learned their name, you always want to smile and welcome and be enthusiastic and listen to them when they talk because that's a consultation/sales opportunity. But greet them whenever they walk in. Hey, Miss Mary, is it okay if I'm with you in just 1 second? I'm going to go ahead and catch this phone. And then as you're saying that, you're walking over to the person standing in front of the products and telling them, oh my gosh, I have to tell you about this product too, by the way. So don't move a muscle. I know you're going to love this. I'm going to catch this phone call really quick. I don't want to keep them waiting. Is that okay with you? And as long as I'm asking this member and the person by the shelf, as long as I'm asking them, is it okay that I get this phone as I'm doing all this at the same time? That's fine. Don't tell them though. Hey, I'm going to just get this. Hold on 1 second for me, hun. None of that. Don't do that. They don't like to be delegated to. That's whenever you do fail in that, you get a customer service issue, and in the future you never try to accommodate in seeing and identifying a growth opportunity because you're too worried about accommodating them because you got burned, right? So do it right the first time. Answer the phone and ask the person on the phone, unless it's a member going, hey, I just need to make an appointment, which is a 5-second thing. If it's somebody calling a TI, can I place you on a brief hold for just a few seconds? And if it is, always, I'm going to go ahead and get your name and number just in case, though. I don't want to get disconnected and not be able to have a way to reach back out to you in case the phone cuts out. You know how cell phones are, right? They are temperamental. We can drop at any moment, right? So that's a perfect reason to get a name and number. And then move on to being able to set the service for the member while talking about a product to the member standing in front of the products. You'll know which product to highlight based on the section that they're standing by. If they're by the tanning lotions, if they're by the skincare, if they're by the nutrition. Talk about a featured product or your product of the week that pertains to the area they're standing by while you're setting that member. And whenever you're setting that member into the service, then you can accommodate that member to the room and come back up and finish that conversation. But you roped that person in front of the shelves. You've gotten their attention to where you don't miss the opportunity to come back up and up they left, I missed the sale. So how do you want me to do this? I'm supposed to fold towels. I'm supposed to answer phones and accommodate people. That's what they need training on, folks. If you're going to train people on how to operate the store and set services and clean services and so on and so forth, you need to be prepared to train them on how to operate appropriately where they will not and do not miss growth-related opportunities. So teach them how to fish. Don't catch the fish for them. Train your team and always say these words. Never come to me with problems unless you have solutions to suggest to follow them. Ask them questions that will help them figure out solutions and ideas to overcome any growth obstacles. Here are a few examples, and feel free to take screenshots of this. Okay, so the weather is terrible outside, and that's what you say. That's the reason you say you can't sell to people who come in. I get that. That makes sense. That's a viable reason. You're right, Amy. It does suck. I hate when it rains like this. Nobody ever comes in. I completely understand. But, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm spent. What exactly do you think? I mean, what do you think we can do to control that on our end? Do you have any ideas or suggestions, things we can do to drive people in or get some phone sales maybe? We can do something like that. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I would love to hear any good ideas because apparently, I feel like I thought of everything, and maybe I just need more ideas, more people involved with coming up with some solutions. And when you go to your consultant with that, you're at that point tricking them into thinking that you're actually needing their help for something when in actuality you're managing them in that moment because you're training them to come up with a solution without having to blow your phone up at 8 o'clock at night when you left at 4 o'clock on what to do. They'll come up with it on their own when you train them this way, because in the future they'll go, you know what? This is a problem. What can I do? What can I do? Oh, that one time we did this. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to bother her. She left already for the day. That is when you start seeing your own little eagles and leaders. Here's another example. Do you feel like what you're doing now at this very moment is going to help you or hit your goals or help us hit our goals and is good use of time here today? What do you think your game plan should be for you to be able to at least hit or cover your cost for the next shift that you're working? If you were me, if you were the owner of this business, what would you do? How would you guarantee that we'd book this many reds, see this many guests, hit our in the bank total of however much for today? You or me, you put all your life savings into this business. What would you do if you were me and I'm sitting here talking to somebody who consistently just sells eyewear every shift? What would you do to me? They would physically have to come out and say, oh, I would probably fire me, right? They wouldn't be dumb enough to actually respond to you with, hey, give me another chance. But let's talk about the lack of commitment that you guys have. What are you doing right now? What are you willing to do to have a successful growth-oriented spa? I know I can't rely on walk-in business, but promos and prospecting just doesn't work. Yes, they do. You're doing it wrong. I know I need a better staff, but hiring's hard and I just don't have the time. I can't afford to hire somebody to run my store, or I can't afford to work my store, so I can't afford to get rid of them. So what do I do? I can't afford a spa director. Well, shame on you for incentivizing them and basing whatever their pay is around their base pay and salary. If people don't realize that work at Planet Beach, that they're just as much, if not more so, than a glorified service industry worker, then you're hiring the wrong people. They have the wrong mindset showing up for work. People that work for tips understand they're not going to get paid anything in their base pay. It's all reliant on their customer service and experience and upselling, upgrading, consulting opportunities. It's all on them on what they make. If you don't have a team of people in there understanding that, or a spa director that says, I don't care what the salary is, tell me what my bonus structure and my commission structure is. That's what I used to tell my franchisees when I ran top stores. I couldn't even tell you what my salary was, my base salary was, because that was the least of my worries. I wanted to know what I could control. I knew if it was in my hands, I can make what I wanted to make. And if I failed in life, personally and financially, that was on my own shoulders, not my employer. So do they think that way? Or do you think that way? Because if you do, it's time to turn that around and make that change right now. Prospecting doesn't work. Yes, it does. You're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong. You're refusing to do it the right way or even listen to how to do it. Now let's reassess. What should you be worried about this very minute? This is the question we asked ourselves at the very beginning of this webinar. What are you currently most worried about at this very moment? If you're in the store taking this webinar, if you're at home in your office, the things that you were worried about were making sure that I was able to sit in on this training, however, still be able to get the towels done, clean the floor because they look so ugly. They're clean, but I want to go ahead and put the shiner on it. I need to worry about getting this product order in, or ordering new pillows for my sofa in the lobby because they're so disgusting and beat up and old. It's time for me to do that. People are going to start saying that it's funky in here. That's so priority. Those are the things we talked about what you were currently worried about at that time. So now let's talk about the things after we have assessed all of these different obstacles and roadblocks to why you're not growing and just operating. Here's what you should be worried about this very minute. Write this down or take a screenshot, folks. Spa directors and franchisees, this is a must do to start your change. How much is my franchisee losing or profiting on their business? I was worried sick daily over this, but only because personally I'm OCD. I was concerned at all times. Are they making money? Are they losing money? Or are they barely getting by? Where am I at to hitting and exceeding my monthly goal? I don't care about the dang pillows on the sofa. I'm going to give that to my little consultant who's currently going to school for interior design and interior decorating. That right there is where we need to put our focus on. Where am I at to goal? I'm not going to worry about what's on Amazon and what I can get for 50% off. Did I cover my cost of being here today with sales since I clocked in? I can't necessarily bark at my staff for not hitting and exceeding their goals or try to turn that ship around and consult them and lead them if I'm not doing it. I need to lead by example. What are the potential obstacles? Here's something none of us prepare for. We always talk about planning ahead, strategy, and having a game plan, and communicating is always key, but we're just currently not doing it. But we're only game planning and strategizing on what we're going to do to hit our goal. We're not planning ahead and planning to fail. If we plan for obstacles ahead of time, we're more prepared to hit and exceed our goals. Should we plan out on what we do or what we are to do as a plan B or a backup plan if obstacles come our way that will avoid us from executing the current goal that we're putting in place and plan to hit our goal? So, what do we mean by that? What are the potential obstacles that can happen to me today that would possibly prevent me from hitting these goals? And what can I do to be prepared for these events so that I don't fail? So if I put a game plan in place on this is my goal today, here's each individual consultant's goals, here's what I'm going to do to make sure each of them hit their goals, here's how I'm going to motivate them. If I don't plan for it to have a huge rainstorm at 1 o'clock in the day or 2 o'clock in the daytime, right whenever we are in a full on, we're motivated, we're pumped, we're on the phones, we're doing this, we're headed out here, we're prospecting here, it starts storming, raining, and it throws a wrench in all of our plans. What's our backup plan to that? To make sure that we do still become successful by the time we close the register tonight. Did we hit and exceed our goals? No, it started storm and rain, so that's something we can't control. We're not God. We can't control the weather. No, but you can control what the backup plans are if that happens. So if that's something you're currently not doing, but you are currently at least putting a game plan in place for today, kudos and congratulations. You are a step ahead by at least having a plan, but go a step further and plan for the worst so you can expect the best. Always have a backup plan, always have a plan B and a plan C and to put in place to be able to hit that goal. And franchisees, for crying out loud, ask your spa directors and your team or whoever's in charge in your store that question every day. Okay, I love this plan. This is going to be great. We're going to make a lot of money. I know you can do this. You got this. Rah, rah, ree. But what happens if something happens today, like it starts pouring down rain? What if something happens, the lights and the electricity goes out? What are you going to do today if somebody doesn't show up for work? What's your backup plan to that? If you're not asking that question, you're not contributing to making a change towards a growth spa. You're staying as an operating spa. Am I attending these calls, these webinars, these trainings? Am I going to franchisee school? Am I attending franchisee school virtually? Because physically there's no money to send me. Am I going to convention? Am I constantly changing up the look in this store? Am I sitting on the Monday motivation call down and operating just so that they could see my phone number pop up and I don't get in trouble later whenever they ask if I attended the call? That's not helping you. That's not helping you at all. And at the end of the month, whenever you look to see you were only $200 away from hitting your goal, that one Monday motivation call that you put the phone down for because you didn't think it was important contained a lot of really good sales tips and information and shared ideas from other top spas you could have taken, stolen, implemented, and not only hit that goal, but exceeded that monthly goal. And you missed out on a couple $100, spa directors, on a bonus. Franchisees, you missed out on being able to provide a little fun incentive for your team to keep them motivated and keep a happy workplace that you want to keep. You just can't because you're not making money. Am I on track to my goal today? Yeah, I am. I'm on track. I'm probably going to hit this goal. You know what? I'm going to celebrate. I expect everybody to praise me because I am single-handedly responsible for having a $1,000 day today. We had an amazing map day. I have succeeded. But what am I doing right now, today, while I'm celebrating and I'm using that time is money, that time that I'm celebrating and rubbing in everyone's faces that I'm so successful? What am I doing to contribute to tomorrow to being the same way? A plan, guys, a true growing spa does not look to the current day for success or pats on the back. If I have a $1,000 day, that's great. Yeah, oh, well, thank you. Congratulate me, that's great, that's fine. Give me a high five, fist pound, you did awesome. Give me a little incentive, give me a little payday off because I pulled through on today for MAP specifically. But what about tomorrow? Anybody care? No. We have no reds on the books for tomorrow. I'm that consultant that the whole reason I would ever gotten promoted to a spa director role to sit into a position of being able to move up into a corporate promotion all started with the fact that when I got congratulated and everybody wanted to make a big deal and call my store, hey, what are you doing over there? And I was just a consultant at the time. I said thank you one time, But I was more concerned about the fact that I had 3 hours left and I didn't have one person on the books for tomorrow. I did not have one thing in place for tomorrow for me, or a game plan put together before I clocked out to be able to do this all over again tomorrow. So unless you have that mindset and your team has that mindset, you will not grow. Is this the staff that's going to help me hit my bonuses and drive in sales? We've already talked about that enough. What you should be worried about is I need to increase my net EFT, stop taking orders, and convert members. I worked in the spa yesterday, guys, and I will tell you this much right now. There were people that came in for the 20 days for $20. Every Monday motivation call, you hear me say the same thing over and over. You probably get annoyed with it. But I have no problem being repetitious in the things that I say because it works. Because I follow the processes and I have since day one. And I've always been a very firm believer in if you tell me what to do and I do it to my fullest and to my best advantage and to the most efficient way of doing it with all my focus, and then I fail, then I have a leg to stand on by saying your process doesn't work. But if I sit there and I maybe do it to bare minimum, I don't put my all into it, or I don't do it at all because I think I have a better way, I know that I cannot blame anybody but myself. So with that being said, you need to look and pry into yourself into realizing that with what comes every single day, you know what? That was $100 sale. I don't care. That's money in the bank. Sometimes that needs to be priority when we know we just got depleted in our bank accounts. We know we just got hit with payroll. We just had to buy a new service. We just reimaged. We need the money in the bank badly. But what we're missing out here is long-term goal. The long-term benefit here is the membership. I single-handedly yesterday took 4 people on the 20 days for $20 that initially turned down a membership from other consultants in that team, in that staff, in this location. I took these people and I just listened to them and I just consulted them and I looked and I went, whoa, you're almost out of your 20 days. What are you going to do? Oh, man, we don't want to lose you. What can we do? We have to keep you here. We love having you coming in here. Look how amazing you look. Oh, you know what? There's another part to this, Miss Mary. Let's talk about this other part of this Planet Beach birthday party thing. And you only have 7 days left to redeem this. I would just feel awful that by the time your 20 days is up, I can't give you $20 enrollment. I could buy back what you already spent. It'll cost nothing. On the 1st of May, it's going to be $59 is when this starts up. That's not a far cry from your $20 you paid. And with this, at least you get way more services. You get to bring friends, guests. We have birthday parties. You can give this away to somebody if you don't want it. Freeze it if you're not using it. Don't let that freak you out about not joining with us because we don't want to lose you. These are the things that I took people from and converted them into EFT memberships because in the back of my mind, because obviously I've been around a long time, but you need to have your team feel the same way and do the same way of thinking. In the back of my mind, this person needs to be turned and converted into an EFT member because I need to get that draft up because I have got to make sure my franchisee pays their bills or else I have no place to come to be employed. How could I have gotten a bigger sale out of that previous sale I just made? If you're not running behind your team and saying, wow, that was amazing, good job, way to get the EFT. I noticed they didn't get any retail though. What happened there? And get their objection. Remember, problem and solution. Okay, so ask them questions. Why didn't you get the retail? Why do you feel like you couldn't get the retail? Are you kidding me? You're amazing at selling this product. Why do you feel like, oh, well, she gave me a financial objection already. Okay, well, let's go through some different ideas. What do you think you could have done differently? What do you think are solutions to that? That way next time, and then there's a calculator. Here's what you just made in commission. If you would have just got that little bit of, $100 to $200 or $50 to $100 extra from the retail sale by really finding a solution to that problem, that'd have been this much more in commissions. It might not seem like a lot now, but tack that on to all the other stuff that you made, and here's where you're at so far. That adds up. And that's the consultant that will understand. They will never go to you and say they won't unclog a toilet for $9 an hour. You don't pay them enough. They'll go and unclog the toilet without you asking them to because they know in order for them to convert that sale and get that commission, that spa has got to be top notch, clean, amazing, and provide a great experience in order to do so. And that is how they get paid. That, my friends, is where the problem is lying currently for each and every one of you. How can I duplicate my success in what I'm doing currently? Work smarter, not harder. If I'm setting up a B2B with someone, I'm going to knock out doing a trade out with promotions with them so I don't have to worry about spending hours of my time later that could be dedicated to staying on track to my hourly goal or setting up staff meetings or doing something that's going to help my staff sell more or train them more. If I know I'm not going to be taken away by planning a promotion that I could just knock out when I set up a B2B, I'm going to do that. That right there is how you avoid busy work. So what's step one in setting yourself up for growth? You have to be an eagle. You've heard us talk about eagles, and we're wrapping this webinar up, so I appreciate you guys staying with me this long. You've heard us talk about eagles so many times. What is an eagle? An eagle is somebody that carries specific characteristics of a superb spa consultant. So lead by example, because you must be an eagle yourself. Then you must find, produce, and continuously train fellow eagles. Now, I won't go through with you one by one which each and every one of these characteristics and traits hold in eagles, but you can see what an actual eagle possesses here. And after seeing this, you can actually sort of tie that into why we call our top performing locations staff members eagles. They're all like they're the king of the sky because they're the king of the company. They're on top of the rankings because they're on top of the world. They're aggressive and they always expect results from their team of people. They're capable of reaching higher altitudes than any other birds. They're hitting higher results, and they have smaller square footage than some of you out there who have 2,000 square foot spas. Some of these top stores are only 1,300 square feet. So consider that whenever you talk about, it could be their location. No, some of them really don't have really great locations at all, as a matter of fact. They observe quietly because they shut up and listen. And they distinguish colors well. That means when they're listening, they distinguish opportunities to be able to consult to sales and not try to push a sale where they're going to get denied. They adjust quickly and with great accuracy. They learn quickly, in other words. They possess a great deal of focus and allow no distractions to the goal. This, my friends, possessing a great deal of focus and allow no distractions is all the basis of what defines this entire webinar. Anything that has nothing to do with growth relation is a distraction that can be passed on to another team member that does not need to be eaten up by your time. They always finish their nests and are very clean birds. They don't celebrate that. In other words, that means they don't celebrate success from one sale. They're looking at it and they're coming down on themselves. They're looking at it as a failure because they didn't do anything to either duplicate the success out of that one sale or plan something for tomorrow from that one sale, as in get referrals from that person from today. They didn't even do that much. So they're always finishing the job. By finishing the job to them, it's duplication, tripling, quadrupling in what they just did. They struggle to persevere against all odds. They're alive, full of actions, with a great sense of purpose. They work as a team as they search for their prey. They do it all together. They stick together. They never take their coworkers for granted. They help each other out in boosting sales. Struggling to persevere against all odds means it's not okay. They are not okay with closing that register, clocking out, turning off all those services, and locking that door when they know they did not hit their goal. They come up with solutions, they start creatively thinking, and they start coming up with their own way of being able to say, I will not send this end of the day email saying I was only $20 away. I'm going to buy something myself. That is eagles. Those are top spas. So every positioned employee daily, and you want to take a screenshot of this is their routine. Your staff, your team must know every single day what are their main objectives. Their main objectives are this. Your goal here is to drive people in the door, not to set services, not to answer beds. A spa consultant at Planet Beach is not a sales associate at Suntan City down the street. A spa consultant's main objective in this industry, in this business, and to be secured a job is your number one job duty is to drive customers in, however that might be. Prospecting, marketing, utilizing the tools at your fingertips to be able to do both successfully. When they come in, they are to provide an impeccable customer experience. They're to look the part, they're to act the part, and they are to have a leader that motivates them to want to do this, to light the fire within them, not beneath them. They're to make them a long-term EFT member. Keep them. Get them on an EFT. If they don't get them right away, they can buy time with a 1 month, a 3 month, whatever they need to do. Buy them that time to get convinced, to get that customer convinced that there is a value on the EFT, but that is their job duty, not just selling whatever. They're to assure that they keep coming back again and again. How? Consulting them to use different products and services, which in turn are sales in the bank, so it's win-win. But they see results, so they stay with you. And the experience that they provide every single day that you see there as number two that they've already done, if they provide that experience every single day, they'll never quit you. They won't, unless they have to move away and they can't control that. And then lastly, once they do all those things, they start over again. They get them to drive the customers in from their referrals. So every single day, your team must know that this cycle is at everyday objectives, overall outlook on what their job duties are and what a true spa consultant is. I'm not even going to go through the 5 indispensable components of a Planet Beach consultant. You should know this. This should have been something that was in the pre-employment package, and your staff should know this by now. If you're not and you're looking to this webinar for a starting point, well, here you are. Take a screenshot of this and bring this back or write this down. This is in detail what we just covered, what a spa consultant's supposed to be. If they're not this, you are failing. Now, thank you for hanging out with me this long. I do appreciate that. You guys are amazing. You are rock stars. And you know what? The reason for that is because you attended this alone. So you took that first step into making the changes necessary, and now it's on you to determine if you're going to execute and implement what you need to do. Here are your action items that you must do whenever you take away the takeaways from this webinar. Look at your current daily operations and make an item checklist. So, step 1, when you hang up from this call, make a list of your current day-to-day activities. What do you do every single day and break it down weekly? What do you do at this time of the month for this specific week, for this specific day? What can be delegated to another team member when you list those task items out? Well, I suppose I don't have to be the person to do this. I suppose I can give this to her to do or him to do this because he's actually really good at this anyway. Use your employees' strengths and weaknesses to your advantage that you know, because you can actually see more success because they might be better at something than you are in a certain area of a busy work item. So task and delegate, and you must put an incentive in place to get them to want to do so to its fullest. Identify what's not growing your spa. What items aren't dedicated to growth? Maybe they're dedicated to retention, and circle those, underline those. Maybe do this highlighter thing where you're color coding all of these different things. But what isn't related to growth? Staffing, your schedule, making sure your staff is scheduled, or staffing in general. Or, maybe you have something on your list that is something to do with attending a specific training that has to do with, product knowledge, not so much how to sell a product. Well, maybe that's not so much something you need to be worried about sitting on. Maybe you could be doing something better with your time, right? So identify to that. What's not growing and what is growing my spa from those task items? Am I staffed correctly to be able to even make these changes that we talked about this entire time on this whole webinar to make more money? Here's the thing we'll go back to, that foundation being strong or weak. Don't try to change anything. Matter of fact, hang up, end the webinar now. You're not going to fix anything unless you actually sit back and admit to yourself and have your aha moment and make the decision to say it's worth it. Your staff can't get you there now, then don't try to change anything. You'll burn yourself out. You'll get negative. You'll get burnt out, demotivated, and that'll be passed down to your existingly sucky team. You don't need that and you can't afford that. So really ask yourself that and start job posting, start interviewing. Even if you got an okay staff, do it anyway, folks. That is the most important part of your business. And if you're failing right now, that's what it is. I promise you 100%, take my word for it, that is what it is. Ask yourself when you list these tasks out, what are the purpose and SMART goal tied into each one of these tasks, and what is the end goal for each of these tasks supposed to be, and how is it going to benefit you? Am I devoting the correct time to do this? Am I really spending maybe I'm spending a little bit too much time worrying about this part? Prioritize the growth tasks too. It's okay to do that. You might have 2 growth tasks that are equally as important in your mind, but how much time do you see, or are you assessing when you're thinking about all this? How much time are you really spending on all of these items? Maybe this one is a little bit more priority than this one because this one delivers, long-term results that I need, but this will give me the results I need now because I kind of need money in the bank like right now. So I think, when I have this on my to-dos later today, I'm going to spend an hour on this task because it's more of my I need this sense of urgency now growth related task. And then the other one, maybe I'll cut down to about a half an hour because I need that extra half an hour wiggle room to dedicate to the staffing thing I have not been putting first. So this is the whole purpose of this. It seems tedious and it seems a little bit OCD. But Here's a wake-up call for each and every one of you. If you bought into a Planet Beach, if you started working for a Planet Beach, if you decided to be a manager or a consultant for a Planet Beach, whatever your position is, and you're not obsessive compulsive about these things, carefully planning everything out, this is not the job for you, and you bought the wrong business, my friend. You have to be disciplined. You have to be well trained yourself. You have to be a self motivator. You have to look to the people that are necessary, that are strong in certain things, to do some items for you that are not related to what your job pertains to in growth. If not, if you are not OCD with schedules, game plans, planning to fail so you can hit your game planned goal, if you do not constantly follow every single process and procedure with meetings, if you do not do the things that you are given, and then you, at the end of the month, look to your numbers and say, this business model just doesn't work, you can't be helped with any other business model similar to, or maybe even other businesses itself. So consider all of these items, everything we talked about and discussed. Please go back and replay. This webinar is completely out of my character here. I usually am the rah-rah-ree motivator, but I needed to have a wake-up call with each and every one of you because it's time that you get a little bit of tough loving. It's what we need every now and then. I know I need it sometimes from my bosses. So this is what today was about. Please go back, replay, play it again, play it for your team, get them to hear it coming from a corporate standpoint. Listen, it isn't just me telling you that I need to have these meetings. This is corporate saying this. Have them listen to it. Let them hear it for themselves so they can see, oh, wow, maybe, okay, now I get it. Now I won't give you so much pushback. I'll come to the meeting. Fine. Okay. Geez, I'm Louisa, right? So do what you need to do. Do whatever it takes. But at the end of the day, if you still have further questions or you need advice or help on how to do some of these things, how to make the first step in making the changes necessary in order to grow, in order to get into survival mode, we are more than happy to help you. Just email us at spaperformance@planetbeach.com, ask away. And, to drill down a little bit deeper, if you know your consultant's email address and you know who your consultant is, feel free to email them directly. But all in all, if you don't know that, if you have a regional developer or, they're not available at the time, email us. We're more than happy to help you and assist you with putting together a strategic game plan and starting and finishing your change process. But either way, you have to want the change first, and you have to do the hardest part about change, which is making the decision to do it. That's the hardest part about change. Once you do that, everything else comes so easy. But you just have to hold your breath and dive in head first and realize you're insane because you've been doing the same things over and over, maybe tweaking little things here and there that were all processes you made up in your own mind or you thought were better in the first place, so they're going to keep failing. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. If you have questions, again, feel free to email us. We'll see you on next Monday Motivation Call because you will be there in full attendance and in 100% focus mode. And until then, you guys, don't forget to be awesome. Thanks so much.